Is the mic on?
There is nothing that you have not experienced and known.
I don't know. Is that true? That's Peter Cass. We'll get into that in a second. Episode 35. But first, check out these two.
Hi, my name is Julie Singerman, and I build rockets for NASA and Aerojet Rocketdyne.
And I'm Jim Kelly, an actual astronaut who's been to space twice. And one of the things I missed most when I was out there was live comedy.
Especially Orny's. We've been going to his shows for years.
We made it through the first half of COVID on his More Than Loud special.
And the second half watching his amazing podcasts.
Out of this world comedy. Thank you so much, Orny, for keeping us laughing.
Here on Earth.
And in space.
Those aren't hostages, if you can believe it. Those are my fans. That is Jim Kelly, Vegas Kelly. He's an astronaut. He's been in space a few times on, which one was it? Endeavor? It was, shit. I should know that, shouldn't I? Anyway, here's a picture. It was Endeavor. The thing is, I get stuck because I don't want to say the one that exploded. Like when I was talking to them, they came to my show at the Improv Saturday night, and I didn't want to say, hey, you don't want to bring up the one that blew up, Challenger. Anyway, he's been to space a few times. They brought me this nice picture. I'm holding it up. If you're watching the video, if not, he's in his orange jumper. And it says, Orny, thanks for the laughs on and off planet Earth. Jim Kelly, space shuttle pilot. Imagine that. Pilots. And then Julie, she's an astrophysicist. She builds the rockets. How impressive is that for NASA that Jim goes up in? And they came to my show and they were going on and on about, the space shuttles and stuff. And I thought, hey, if you build space shuttles, what do you know about air conditioners and Shastas? Because I can't get Shasta to fix the air conditioning in here. So she said, if Shasta won't fix your air conditioning, NASA will. How about that? What's Wrong with Orny Adams, episode 35.
What's his name, Kev?
Orny. Camera B is out. It isn't out, but that's... People keep coming to shows and bringing it down a little, and they yell, Camera B is out. So I know people are listening. On this episode, what are we going to talk about? Well, we can go over this Val Kilmer documentary. We can go over tour buses, when I yell at the tour buses up here in the Hollywood Hills. Of course, we're going to talk about, Jim Kelly and Astro Julie. We have so much. Snoopy. We're going to talk about Snoopy. Why? Well, they brought this. Look at this vintage poster. Thank you to Astro Julie and Jim for bringing this. This is a vintage poster, bringing this all the way down here. It's way too loud. This is, it's like 30 years old. NASA gave out these posters, or they hung them up in the facilities to remind people about safety. Mission success is in your hands. It kind of worries me that we need a Snoopy poster to remind the people at NASA that safety is important. I think they know that. They also brought me a bunch of stickers, Snoopy Snickers. Snickers. That's what I need is a Snickers. Here's a NASA sticker and Eyes on the Star Snoopy. And I think these are all vintage. So thank you, Jim. It's quite a thrill when you look out in the audience and because they've been at shows before. I think that's Jim Kelly, the astronaut dude. Guy's been in space. And then I mentioned it during my show and people cheered. I couldn't believe it. I don't like when people cheer more for audience members than they do for me. But it is really cool to meet somebody that's been in space. And I think it's gutsy to get into a rocket and just launch yourself. And I had, I asked all sorts of questions. And then I said, why don't you guys make a video for the podcast? Because they listen to the podcast. Because Jim kept saying, Camera B's out. Camera B's out. So I said, they said, we love the podcast. And we'd love to help you fix your Shasta. I said, well, make a video. So they made this video. And if you listen to it at the beginning, I'll put it back on. She's very clear what she says. Listen.
Hi, my name is Julie Singerman, and I build rockets for NASA and Aerojet.
Okay, she builds rockets. We got it. Thank you. Now check out Jim. This is the guy we're sending to space, and he can't even get the lines out. He's not even articulate. He says, I'm an astronaut. If I was an astronaut, I would really punctuate that. Listen to this.
And I'm Jim Kelly, an actual astronaut who's been to...
Come on, Jim. Listen to what he said.
has been to space twice. Has been to space.
Hold on, we got that, Jim. Stop saying that.
And I'm Jim Kelly, an actual astronaut has been to space.
I'm Jim Kelly. I'm an astronaut. I'm just an astronaut. I'm Jim Kelly, and I'm an actual astronaut. I'll do your lines for you. Hi, I'm Julie Zimmerman, and I build rockets for NASA. I'm Jim Kelly. I'm an astronaut. I've been in space. Do you know what that means? He throws it away. Where is it?
Aerojet Rocketdyne.
And I'm Jim Kelly, an actual astronaut has been to space twice. And one of the things I missed most when I was out there was live comedy.
Especially Orny's. We've been going to...
Well, take me to space. I'll do comedy for you guys. They talked about maybe piping my comedy to the people that are up there now. How cool would that be? Now, here's the thing. That's not the first video. They actually made 3 different videos because take one. What do you think is missing here? Watch. Let me cue up take 1.
I build rockets.
And I fly them. When I'm out in space, one of the things I miss most is live comedy.
Yeah, well, what are your names? Who are you? I build rockets. I fly rockets.
I build rockets.
And I fly them. When I'm out in space, one of the things
You got to see this video. It's like a Peter Guest. It's like Waiting for Guffman. It's like Best in Show.
miss most is live comedy.
Especially Orny's. We've been going to his shows for decades.
He got us through the first half of COVID with his More Than Loud special.
And the second half with this podcast, they're incredible.
I
Out
agree.
of this world comedy.
I
Highly
agree.
recommend.
Yes.
Thank you, Orny, for keeping us laughing.
Here on Earth.
And in space.
It's so funny because they're not love these guys. They're not actors, so they're waiting. They're like, here on space. Thank you for entertaining us. And then she's like, oh, it's my line. Here on Earth. And then he says, and not on Earth. I'm Jim Kelly. I'm Jim Kelly. Actual astronaut. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for the poster. Thank you for everything. Thank you for offering to fix Big Yellow's air conditioning. You know what we're doing today? Doors open. I got a fan outside blowing in. And I had somebody here looking at the air conditioning unit, and hopefully we resolve all this. Wouldn't that be unbelievable? My mind is scattered. It's one of those days where if I get everything done, I will not believe it. I will not believe it. Yesterday, I picked up boxes of merchandise. I drove downtown. It took over an hour. I got there. I had some T-shirts printed. My I Touched a Famous Person T-shirts. Wasn't that a wonderful design to put out right before COVID? The last shirt I designed the month before, February 2021, was a shirt with a handprint that said, I touched a famous person. Because sometimes in the middle of my show, I'd fist bump somebody and say, hey, have you ever touched a famous person? And they'd laugh. The absurdity of somebody saying that, 1. 2, the absurdity of me saying it because, well, I'm barely famous. So I had those printed out, and then COVID happened, and guess what? Can't touch people anymore. Can't touch us. Can't touch us. So, the worst marketer ever. But I drove an hour to get the shirts because I wanted some for Nashville. I'll be in Nashville this weekend, and there'll be a fan there. Let me read this email right now. We're going to, instead of doing all the emails at once, I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee at Zany's this weekend. This Friday, Saturday, 1 show each night, the early shows. So hopefully people will show up for that. But I go downtown to pick up the merchandise. And I'll get to this email in a second. And guess what happened? I ordered black shirts for the men and pink shirts for the women. I guess we're going to have to change that because why would women want to wear pink? I mean, have to think about everything. Do women want? Although dudes buy pink shirts too. I love that. I love when a guy comes up and buys the pink shirt. I would, but they're cut too small. Anyway, they printed on the pink shirts for whatever gender wants the pink shirts. They put the ink for the black shirts on the pink shirts and the ink for the pink. So the black. Do you understand what's going on? It's all backwards. The shirts are backwards. There's like light pink on the black shirts, which is great, but it's not what I had before. So it doesn't match the existing inventory. So now they've got to be redone. And the guy's not charging me for it, but he runs. It's a family business. I feel bad when they lose money like that. Listen. Look at this. By the way, this is from the last episode because I realized this joke didn't play at all. This is from episode 34. This joke didn't play at all when I was talking about the fortune cookie up front. The deal is that you know how small a fortune is that's inside of a fortune cookie. It's I'm showing it to the camera. It's ridiculous. And it hasn't been updated in my lifetime. So when I couldn't read it, I said, it's my eyes that have gotten worse, not the fortune cookie fortune. That didn't get smaller. So what I did was I printed out my own I made a prop for the podcast. Okay? And this is like 2 inches by 11 inches. Okay, and it's a big piece of paper. So this is when I held it up. I said the fortune cookie should be this big, and I held it up. People that didn't see the video, that only listened to the audio, did not know that I had printed up my own fortune cookie fortune. The dedication that I have to this podcast has no boundaries, none. Anyway, thank you, Jim and Julie. Thank you for being so cool. Thank you for offering to fix the Shasta. They might be coming up here to actually fix it. Can you believe that? How cool would that be? So I look out, I see him on stage. And I said, I go, hold on. You're the astronaut. People are like, what's he doing? He's in the middle of a show. He's at the Improv here in Hollywood. And he goes, you're the astronaut. And they go, yeah. And people didn't know if I was being real or what. And so I said, this guy's actually been in space. And people applauded. I couldn't believe it. The enthusiasm. In fact, he had a line after the show. The line to meet him was as long as the line to meet me, which is fine because people are fascinated by space. And I asked both of them, since she builds the rockets, Julie. I said, how do you feel about all these guys like Bezos going up and the Virgin Atlantic guy, the British guy? What is his name? The adventurer. Where's my producer? Just blanking. COVID blank going on there. But when I was, they think it's cool. And they were worried for those guys too. I was worried when they went up. Bezos, because I grew up with that space shuttle. I talked about it on, the Challenger. I talked about it on another podcast. When that thing blew up, it was like, whoa. Now I'm nervous anytime somebody goes in space. So I'm happy that my friend Jim is back on Earth and safe. It'd be cool if he went up. He said, if I go up again, I'm going to wear an Orny Adams t-shirt. Okay. And those t-shirts, if you want to see them, they're on my website, ornyadams.com, on the merch tab. You can buy t-shirts if you want. You don't feel obligated. And if you want the video for this, that's another thing that is now, it's up on Patreon. $5 a month. Come on. $5. You got it. And you can just sign up and binge if you want. You can do that. It's more important to me that people see the video than anything else. But I did want to feel good about myself and feel somewhat compensated. You know what I'm seeing? Some people, I notice on the videos in the corner the whole time, there's a Venmo QR code. Are people scanning that and like tipping? Is that what, should I get tips? You guys want my Venmo? Want to Venmo me money? I was really hoping I'd be beyond begging people to sign up for It really is pathetic now that I think about it. Like I think about other comedians that don't have to do that. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that because it isn't pathetic. It's a way to make money. So I appreciate the people. There's a fly in here. This is cool. So I appreciate the people doing anything and being resourceful to make money. And there's some people that have a lot of people signing up on Venmo. For me, when I say it's pathetic, what I mean is I thought I would be at a different place in my career. Like I thought, like I'm running all these cameras, like about 4 cameras going right now. I run it all. It's a lot of work technically, this podcast. I thought I would have more help. And certainly I could have more help, but I never thought I would be a guy going, should I put a QR code in the corner so people can tip me? Like this happened the other day. Where's this? This is, remember Jimmy JJ Dynamite Walker guy? Dynamite! From Good Times. It was an incredible sitcom when I was growing up. This guy was the guy. You know, like everybody knew Jimmy J.J. Walker. He wore like I call him like a fishing cap, the round caps that's deconstructed, and he was skinny and cool. And for every episode, something would happen in this family. And then all of a sudden, some good news would happen, and Jimmy go, Dynamite! Or however he did it. And that was like, you waited for that. It's much like on this podcast, everybody waits for me to yell, Camera B's out. Damn it. Damn it, Camera B's out. It's my catchphrase is Camera B's out, and his was Dynamite. Anyway, I saw this. I'm putting this up on the screen. This is not a screenshot. I actually took a physical picture of my TV. And this is Jimmy J.J. Walker. Now, when I started doing stand-up comedy, or early on in my career when I was in Boston, Jimmy was doing stand-up again. He had started out as a stand-up comic, and he went back. And I remember the clubs just wanted him to show up and yell Dynamite. Well, he was like, I'm not. I don't want to yell Dynamite, and I don't blame him. Because you don't, see, he knew that he didn't want that to define him, much like I don't want Coach on Teen Wolf to define me, or Comedian the Documentary to define me. These are things we did, and you move on. So it's particularly upsetting when I see this ad for Medicare Hotline, whatever this company it is. And Jimmy J.J. Walker is the spokesman. He's speaking straight into camera. It reminds me much of Jim Kelly. And I'm actually lives a lot. Anyway, but he says the words clearly, but in the background is a bookcase, and there is a picture of Jimmy holding up a shirt that says Dynamite. There's a magazine cover with a picture of Jimmy Walker that says Dynamite. There's a picture of him wearing the hat and a shirt that says Dynamite. There's a hat that says Dynamite. And then he's holding something else with a hat that says Dynamite. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times it says Dynamite. This is a guy who didn't want to yell Dynamite at the comedy clubs. In retrospect, he probably should have taken that money while he could, because he never thought this would be defining him for the rest of his life. And it does, and it sucks. I feel bad for him. I really do. And then there's a street sign that says Good Times behind it. And I study this stuff. Like, I'm looking at all the books. All the books have blank spines. So, like, they're just prop books. They're not like the books on the people on the news behind them. They have all these books. And you go, oh, look what they've read. They've read so many books. Bullshit. They haven't read half those books. They haven't read probably 80% of those books. They're just trying to make a statement with a spine. So these books are blank. I don't know why each book on the spine doesn't say Dynamite. Anyway, you don't want it to come to that. That's, to me, that's me putting up a QR code. But again, I have no problem. Do whatever you take to make money. I was just hoping my career, look how diplomatic I've gotten. Shh, pathetic. At the end, I'm gonna tell you a couple of stories about how guarded you have to be now, and diplomacy and all that sort of stuff. Well, this goes towards the end. I was going to open with that, and I didn't open with it. I forgot, so now that goes towards the end. But I look out and I see Jim Kelly on stage, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to run this bit by that I've been working on about people going to outer space. Because now, all of a sudden everyone wants to go to outer space. And we're thinking of developing Mars to live on. It sucks so bad on Earth that we want to go live on other planets where there's no oxygen. I don't know if you know much about living, but you need oxygen. That's the one thing you need is oxygen. So instead of trying to fix Earth and fix the people here, which we're done. We had a good run, right, people? I mean, there was no way we were ever going to sustain ourselves on this. You know what I mean? The human race could never survive forever on a flat planet.
Orny made a joke.
What?
Yeah.
Orny made a joke. Yeah.
Orny made
bringing it down. Yeah, that's the joke I made. It's not a flat planet. But we're willing to go to Mars where there's no... People don't like to be where there isn't oxygen. You ever see the people that hike or climb to the top of Mount Everest where there's no oxygen and they can't breathe at all? They get up there, they take a picture, and they get the hell down. Why? Because there's no oxygen. Humans like to be where there's oxygen. So I don't get this whole Mars thing. And then I asked Jim Kelly, I said, Colonel Jim Kelly, astronaut Jim Kelly. See how I say it nice and clearly so they understand Jim Kelly? I said, what do you think? You think there's aliens? And he said, yeah. I said, you seen something? Seen something when you've been up there on the Endeavor? And he said, no, not basing it on anything I've seen. It's just, it's so infinite space. I said, well, I get that. I was hoping you saw something. And then he told me how they masturbate in space. So, it was a deep discussion. It sure was. Anyway, what is the history? People are asking me, Orny, what is the history of Snoopy and NASA? And so, you know what? I forgot to read this email. I'll read it at the end. This is from Dakota, and she's coming to my show this weekend. Where? Zanies in Nashville. So I guess I'll read that. It's so wonderful to be this scattered and have it caught on tape. I mean, unbelievable. So this is from pbssocal.org. And here are some facts. Unknown to many, Snoopy has been working with NASA since the late 1950s, even before man first stepped on the moon. In 1969, May 18th, Apollo 10 launched from Cape Kennedy on Saturn V rocket. The mission served as a dress rehearsal for Apollo 11. So what 10 was supposed to do was to circle the moon and find places for Apollo 11 to land that would be safe. So they called it Snoopy. They called the craft Snoopy. And they called the Space Center Charlie Brown. The command module was called Charlie Brown. So Snoopy would go around and find, the command module was called Charlie Brown. Snoopy would go around the moon and find a place for it to land, which is what I like. I like to send people out to find places for me to park my car. So they called it Snoopy. And the name Snoopy was chosen because it would snoop around. Snoopy flew within 50,000 feet, roughly 9 miles of the moon's surface. At the 50th anniversary celebrations, forget it, I don't know how to read! Now I'm unraveling the paper. I just crumpled up. Apollo 10 was not the first foray into space exploration for Snoopy. The history of Peanuts and NASA relationship can be traced back as early as 1959 when Schultz, a fan of the space program, first added space exploration themes to his Peanuts comic strips. Schultz even gave NASA permission to use his characters as part of NASA's safety materials. Oh, I'm glad he didn't charge him. Snoopy remains an embodiment of space flight safety to this day. The poster, here's the poster. I'm holding it up again. Thank you, Jim and Julie. And it says, mission success. Mission success is in your hands. In other words, workers at NASA, if you forget that it's important to keep the astronauts safe, please look up at the poster of Snoopy. This is part of space flight awareness. And Snoopy is wearing, he's got a briefcase that says flight safety. Well, I don't mean to joke about NASA, because clearly they have a huge sense of humor. To listen to this story. Look at this. Where's that story? Did I not print it out? I guess I didn't. Anyway, one of the astronauts on one of the missions agreed to take a Snoopy. One of the astronauts agreed to take something up into space in his pocket, but they wouldn't tell him what it was. And he said, fine. So as they were loading into the shuttle, a woman stood there with the biggest Snoopy you've ever... It's almost like life-size Snoopy. Huge. And she goes to hand it to him. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen of that moment. and you can see somebody touching the Snoopy, and the joke was, put this in your pocket. This is the sense of humor that NASA has. The other thing that NASA does is they give out a silver Snoopy. I'll put this right up here on the screen. This is a sterling silver Snoopy. They're brought up in space, so the folklore says, and they're brought back down, and they hand them to people who are exceptional workers at NASA. And who got one? Astro Julie, as seen in the video at the beginning of this podcast. So thank you very much, guys. And look at that Snoopy. Very cool. I love Snoopy. Let's have fun with CAPTCHA. Fun with CAPTCHA, everybody. Look at this one. Let me put this on the big screen here. Select all squares with bicycles. I just see a tree. But the bike could be behind the tree. There are bushes behind that. I see a car. Maybe there's a bike, on a car. You know how they a bike rack. So you can if there are none, click skip. Well, I didn't want to click skip because what if they're hiding one? I don't. These robots, they can be sneaky. Here's one. Select all square. So I skipped it, and then it says select all squares with tractors. If there are none, click skip. Well, I didn't grow up on a farm. I don't know what a tractor. Maybe this is a tractor. It looks like a car to me. Looks like a crappy car. But maybe in the background, I'm just saying, if you grew up on a farm, right away you'd be able to identify. I don't think CAPTCHA should be fair. I don't know what this is not fair to people that didn't grow up on farms. So what did I do? I checked the car. It looks like a Mitsubishi or something. I checked the two, I hit next, and I got through. That's fun with CAPTCHA. Fun with CAPTCHA should have a theme song. Where is sorry, you can hear the people picking up the picking up the trash behind me, but Fun with CAPTCHA really should have some sort of cool what's this one? Hey, it's Orny Adams. Are you sick of the robots testing us to see if we know what a tractor is when we didn't grow up on a farm? Well, come along with Orny as he fights. He fights. He fights to make CAPTCHA more fair. Thought of the other day I had a cause. I couldn't remember but I can't remember what it was. And I told people, I was like, this is actually I actually found a cause. What was that? Crap off. Sorry to whoever wrote that song. It's not crap. It's crap at that moment, though. God, we have to be so PC about everything. It's so old.
There is nothing that you have not experienced and known.
That's true. There is nothing. There is nothing. Have you watched the Val documentary? I think it's on, where is it? Amazon Prime? Anyway, Val Kilmer is an actor. I know him from Top Gun. I thought he was great in Top Gun. He was Batman. He was Jim Morrison of The Doors. And he's got cancer now, like throat cancer. And he talks, so during the movie, you hear a lot of that. I don't mean to be, making fun of him, but I actually think whatever I just did sounded remarkably close to him. What he's battling, those voice they put in I think there's a hole in the throat, and then you have to plug it to speak. Look at this fly. Look at this fly. Hey, fly, get the hell out of Big Yellow. Go bother camera B. Look at that. I can check right now and see all the cameras are recording. How fantastic. How long before they go out? So, anyway, in this documentary, the one thing I'll say about Val, he's been in a ton of films, and I didn't remember that he was in all these films. And I think part of it is he doesn't fascinate me as an actor. In this film, he certainly comes across as an artist. I think he'd be a great clothing designer. I don't know, it just happened right there with my mouth. It just stopped in the middle of the designer. Just did it again. Hold on a second. Designer. God, I hope this isn't like a new word that I can't say anymore. Designer. I think Val would be a fantastic clothing designer. Oh, thank God. Thank God I can say designer still. Because it could happen like that. You get to a certain age and you just go, my mouth can't say designer anymore. Popping a bottle of water to talk about it. It can happen like that. Designer. Anyway, I certainly have strong opinions about this documentary and Val Kilmer. I have a policy about bad-mouthing other people's work, but I think Peter Cass is a director. He was a producer. I guess he was an acting teacher. He taught Val Kilmer acting. Val went to Juilliard, so he's got some chops there. And I would watch this documentary. It actually depressed me to the point where I went to CVS and filled out an application for a job. Like, I never want to be in show business again. But he was dedicated to the craft. He really was. And he would make these elaborate self-tapes. And for people not in the business, a self-tape is, sometimes a director will say, I want to see how you would do in this part. So could you put yourself on tape? My agents send me self-tapes all the time. I tend not to do them because the part doesn't feel right for me. And I only want to do a part that feels right. And I don't feel as an actor I've got this huge range. But Val put together, like, for Stanley Kubrick, who's an amazing director, he put together, like, really elaborate self-tapes, almost like whole productions. And then he flew to England and gave it to Stanley Kubrick. Then he put together another one for Oliver Stone. I think it was for Platoon or something. And he, like, dressed up and he had the paint and guns and he's running through what looks like could be Vietnam. And he's doing, I mean, really, I commend him for that. But his acting never, like, there are certain actors that you just go, whoa, wow, they just draw me in. And they take you to that moment. I'm not that actor. I know that. But in an acting class, this guy, Peter Cass, and this is the clip that I played up front, I'm going to play you some audio that I pulled from this documentary with nobody's permission. And I'll let you listen to it, because what Val is doing is Val is reading lines of a part and I guess overacting. Like, his whole body is getting into it. He's shaking. He's over emoting. He's like, I fourscore and the teacher's like, whoa, hold on, what's going on there? Lots going on there, dude. Why do you feel the need to over emote? And Val says, well, because this character is contemplating suicide, and I've never felt that before. And that's when Cass goes,
there's nothing that you have not experienced and known.
What is that, Peter? What is nothing
that you have not experienced and known.
No, there is
nothing that you have not experienced and known.
And he's saying, bullshit, Val. You've thought of suicide. Everybody has, either consciously or subconsciously, because a lot of actors use something called substitution. And substitution is, okay, all right, so you've never thought about suicide, but in this scene you want to be sad. So why don't you think about when Billy picked on you in school and punched you and you got sad and you cried. Think of that in that moment and then you'll cry. That's called substitution. And Cass says, bullshit to substitution. Check out this clip.
And resolve itself into
this is Val.
But the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. God.
The body was literally responding to what was happening, the turmoil that was going on inside.
He says, your body is literally responding to the turmoil. And that's Peter Cass giving Val acting notes. And I'll continue the clip now.
Your head. Why such an extreme response?
His words when he says, I don't want to live anymore, I wish I was dead. I've never thought those thoughts, really. I've never, and I took them to be true. It's not just like,
I think those thoughts every day.
There is no way, absolutely no way, you never thought those thoughts. There is no way. Every actor must finally accept that.
Well, yeah, in the context of the situation.
And then Val pushes back. He goes, there's no way you haven't thought you wish you weren't alive. And it is true. And he's calling him on the bullshit. Because in order to be an actor, a great actor, and sometime I'll tell you the story about me and Robin Williams and why he won an Academy Award and I'm stuck in a 1961 Shasta alone doing a podcast. Because I could never be that open and that raw as Robin was. Man, what an actor. The Dead Poet Society, that ending, I want to cry every time. God, I love you, Robin. And so here in this clip from the documentary Val's pushing back, going, no, hey, man, no, I didn't. Well, now, don't say that. That's just going to fire Cass up.
But the character expresses it.
Yes, there you had those thoughts, even as this character expresses, yes, you had these experiences. Yes, you have had this response. There are no limitations to the actor's capacity, the creative capacity, to have experienced even that which is not a conscious experience in your life. And it is for this reason that I have held firmly to the belief that there never is a need for substitution. Because I never had this situation in my life. I never experienced this. There is nothing that you have not experienced and known.
He's right. He's right. He's right. There is nothing. Now, if you're able to draw to that, and by the way, this fly, good, it just left. In case anybody's wondering, I am trying something new. I'm leaving the door open to Big Shasta. Outside, what was that word I couldn't say a second ago? Outside is a fan blowing in, and hopefully that's not creating too much noise. In the variant light, let's hope this works. Maybe we have a solution until the sun goes down on me. This was going to be an afternoon podcast. Remember, I announced I'm now going to do it late in the afternoon. But I have a meeting and I don't have time, and then I'm off to where tomorrow? Nashville to play Zanies. So please show up. Please show up. But Cass was right. And he's furious. He's like, come on, dude. Come on. And he doesn't believe in that substitution where you put yourself at another time in your life when you felt this pain. I could never do that. I don't think you understand when you're acting, like if you're alone and you think you can play a part or something, like let's just let this clip off. Okay. I think the hardest part about acting, which people don't understand for the people who are great actors, and a lot of great actors, is that they get themselves to that place on cue. You know, I've talked about it like on Teen Wolf. We would sit in a field in the middle of the night for hours while they set up cameras, freezing. And you're ready to do your lines, and they'd make you sit there and wait. And then when it's go time, you got to be ready. You got to thaw yourself out, thaw your face out, thaw your brain out, and sit in front of a camera and do it over and over and over. Do it from this angle, that angle, camera from behind you, different lighting. We didn't get it. Do it again. This person screws up their lines. The great actors can take themselves there over and over and over to really emotional places. I can't do it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's healthy, certainly not healthy for me, to put myself in that moment that often. And it's not a moment that I necessarily relate to. It's not like when I do stand-up comedy. I'm there, damn it. Darn it. Gosh darn it. I'm there. I'm that in stand-up comedy. That's what I believe. But Cass does not believe in substitution.
They're playing it in Boston.
That's not the clip I was planning on playing. That's Tom Petty from the last one. But when I was listening to Cass, Peter Cass, rest in peace, which I thought he gave exceptional acting. Boy, I wish I had a teacher that broke it down like that for me. That's exceptional. But when I was listening to him, and he goes, there's never a reason for substitution. Guess what that reminded me of?
That I have held firmly to the belief that there never is a need
Never.
for substitution.
Never.
Because I never had this situation.
Never. Remember that? Winston Churchill? Remember that when he goes, never. It's a party here. It's a party, and what's wrong with... Oh, still going. Whoa! Wow! Whoever made that blower sound effect really committed to it. Let's go over some fan email. That's Snoopy. I love Snoopy. I've got a Snoopy behind me, and I think that's what Jim and Julie saw, and I've got a Snoopy towel, and now I've got a Snoopy poster, and they gave me everything, not the poster, and this, look at this, NASA. I can nerd out, full-on nerd out now with my NASA, book bag. Oh, nerdy. Let's discuss Dakota. I don't want to say her last name, but it'd be like Corn. She's from Nebraska. My name is Dakota. We'll call her Corn from Nebraska. Yes, a Dakota in Nebraska, as you said. Because Dakota, there's North Dakota, there's South Dakota, but there ain't no Dakota, Nebraska. Anyway, I'm excited to see your show in Nashville on Saturday, August 14th. I've never been to a live comedy show before, so I'm happy that you're my first. Let me tell you something. Be prepared to be spoiled. People say, you were my first show, and I never laughed harder. I recently got a job, and it's a desk job, so I have been listening to your podcast nonstop at work. I'm currently on episode 34, and I'm dreading running out of episodes. Well, I think you have. But good news is, here's 35, and you can listen to this on the drive if you're driving to Nashville. She said, what am I going to listen to at work now? I don't think I'll enjoy my job as much when I don't have you screaming and complaining in my ear all day. But I'm determined to finish all of them before your show on Saturday. I don't want there to be a podcast reference or joke that came from the podcast and not pick up on it. Well, the shows are fully enclosed. You don't have to worry. Now, there are some references. You know, like I talked about starting from episode 34, I started talking on stage about starting my own cult. And again, you're not supposed to announce it, but I can't keep my mouth shut. So yes, I'm starting a cult, and I'm inviting everybody over for morning yoga. That's how I'm going to start it. I'm going to hold morning yoga and meditation classes, and then I invite women. I go, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Well, I don't want to tell you right out front that I'm starting a cult and I'm actually God. But come to morning yoga tomorrow. So I started talking about it on stage, and people are yelling, see you at morning yoga tomorrow. See you. I'm leaving. After an Orny Adams show, if I'm standing there, this is what I hear. Camera B's off. See you at morning yoga, Orny. Camera B. Fix camera B. See you at morning yoga. So, yeah. So I officially announced I'm starting a cult, and that I would be the hottest cult leader of all time, I think, and that maybe I'm too hot to be a cult leader. So anyway, Dakota, we'll see you at the show, Nashville. She said, P.S. I love Coach, and I know you probably hear that too much. Exactly. But without Teen Wolf and Coach, I would not have found your comedy and podcast. Well, that's what I want to hear. But instead, what happens is I post a video of me yelling at tour buses, and then guess what happens? Everyone yells, hey, Coach. And a lot of the time, these people spell it wrong. They spell couch. And I'm not the best speller in the world, but I know the difference between a coach and a couch. Hello? This is from Richard. Hey, Orny, I love your podcast. 3 exclamation marks. 3. Look at that. You want verification? There it is in print. 3. Really enjoyed the coffee commercial nostalgia. We like the Folgers commercial where the son comes home from college and makes the coffee for the family, surprising them. Yeah, isn't that what you want? You want your kid to come home and make you coffee from college. Can't wait to get the Father Cult t-shirt. See, the cult thing is taken off. Father Orny. People want Father Orny t-shirts. There we go. And Richard again. This is the same guy. A lot of people corresponding. And feel free to reach out to me. What's the email, everybody? What's wrong at ornyadams.com. What's Wrong at OrnyAdams.com. I like to repeat things because I notice commercials, they repeat things for the dumb people. Liberty, liberty, liberty. What's Wrong at OrnyAdams.com. Well, I need a jingle. What's Wrong at OrnyAdams.com. And you can go to teamwhatswrong.com. It's a website, and it has, like, if you want to find my Patreon and you want to support me, I should put my QR code up there. If you guys want to tip me. Anyway, Jim Richard says, and it's chlamydia, Clemetia. By the way, if you ever get chlamydia, you can get a shot, and it will take care of that. Hi, Orny. I thought you might understand what happened to us. My husband's sister passed away. Oh, that's a downer. So this must be written from chlamydia. What's the other one written from, Jim? Oh, these two. Richard. Why do I keep saying Jim? Oh, Jim's the guy you can't say I'm an astronaut. I've actually been in space. I thought you... I love you guys, by the way. Jim and Julie I love. And we've been corresponding, and I consider them friends. But I hope they don't mind if I make fun of them a little bit. I told them I was going to make fun of their acting. Oh, and then they sent me video clips of their kids who are fans too. And all very cool. Anyway, this is from chlamydia. I thought you might understand what happened. It was my husband's sister passed away, so that would be Richard's sister in January, not from COVID related. Yeah, now you have to announce when somebody dies if it's COVID or not. Oh, guess who? Somebody passed away. Not COVID. You know, like my friend who passed away, the violinist for Kansas. Odd when you say something. Oh, look at that. They even say that. Odd when you say someone passed away. Nowadays, you have to explain it. Oh, I guess I stole their joke. She was single, so we took care of notifying the utility companies, etc., of her passing. It took us numerous phone calls to, they name a phone company, mailing them 2 death certificates. I can't believe you have to mail, like, your utility companies. Like, LA Department of Water and Power needs to see a death certificate. Just shut the shit off. Scanning and emailing a copy of them before they finally close the account. We'll keep, we still kept receiving bills. A couple of weeks ago, 7 months after her passing, we received a letter in her name explaining that that we see you have closed your account. The letter stated, sorry to see you go. Hope you will consider coming back soon. Yeah. In another lifetime. 'Twas in another lifetime. They should send out a letter that says, sucks you died. Sucks we lost. Sucks you died and we lost you as a customer. Unbelievable. This is what she's writing again. Nothing like reminding you again that your loved one has passed. Yeah, they don't even write like a nice letter like, sorry to see you go. My husband and I each work in a field where customer service was the number one priority. I'm sorry to say that today it is all about reaching a quota and not listening. It's also about reading a script. You notice they always say, sorry, sir. At least to me, they go, sir, I'm sorry. Hey, this isn't working. I understand how frustrating that must be. No, you don't. You don't give a shit. You're reading a script. I'm sorry, sir. Sir, that must be, it must be horrible when your refrigerator doesn't work and it's brand new. I can imagine. I'm going to fix this for you right away. And then guess what? They never fix it for you right away. I called to close. I'm continuing the letter from chlamydia. I called to close another account, and the person on the other end didn't even say that they were sorry about our loss and just told me that my sister-in-law had a dollar amount of such and such left on the account and needed to pay it. That's unbelievable. I mean, when you're dead, I always wonder what happens when you die. What happens to your bills? I wouldn't pay it. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Now your dead sister-in-law has a crappy credit score? So when they come back, they have crappy credit score? Do you have to pay bills of dead people? I've always wondered that. And then thank you, Matthew. He wrote me a very long email. He's 80. He's retired Navy, much like my dad. My dad's Navy. I'm USAA for life. And he said he saw me on a documentary on Netflix a few weeks ago. He doesn't watch Teen Wolf. And he just talks about art and obscurity and something he works on called interwoven art. And so thank you for that letter. I appreciate it. Hey, making a switch here. Have you been watching the videos I post on Instagram? Me yelling at the tour buses with my friend, comedian Harlan Williams, who was on the second episode of throwback episodes of What's Wrong with Orny Adams. You can watch Harlan Williams. He's a good buddy of mine. And we yell at the tour buses. And I don't even know what's going on. What happens is Harlan and I are hiking in the hills, and he sees me. I always hike in front for whatever reason. And he sees a tour bus, and he starts recording, and he yells at the tour bus, and he says, I'm somebody that's famous. And I'll play you some of these videos. Here's a compilation. The first one I'm going to play you is, Harlan wasn't with me, so I decided I would do my own, because when Harlan does it, I don't know which actor he's going to yell out, and I never know. I freeze. I don't know what line, like funny line from a movie. I guess I could do like Jim Carrey, like smoking. But the funny thing is that I never do a line from that actor's movie, but I seem to always do "You Can't Handle the Truth" from A Few Good Men. That is, man, he was in Top Gun too, Tom Cruise. So it is really hard juggling this many thoughts in my head with COVID, and then watching all the cameras and making sure that they're still recording and all that sort of fun stuff. It's a lot of fun, my life. Anyway, so I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I told the tour buses, because they stop and they're taking pictures. It looks like they're taking pictures of me. So I say, hey, did you guys know that, and they're probably filming too, did you know that that's not the real Hollywood sign? It's on the other side of the hill, and they're too lazy to tell you that. So here's me telling these tour buses this. How's the tour going? You know that's not the real Hollywood sign. No, that's for tourists. The real one's on the other side. He's just too lazy to drive you there. And then he drives off. They always drive off. Now, this is me and Harlan, I think.
Ben Affleck, guys.
Yeah, I'm Ben Affleck in this one.
Ben Affleck. Ben.
How about them apples?
Good Will Hunting, guys.
Oh,
how about them apples?
Oh, that's good. I did a Matt Damon. Oh, I'm echoing. I did a Matt Damon. And how about them apples? So they're supposed to know that Ben Affleck didn't say that line. But it's like a big dad joke here.
Ben, say hi to the lower common denominator.
Welcome to our city.
Wait, where are you going? It's Ben fucking Affleck.
They drive off. Ben. And I look disgusted. Do you guys know that that's not the real Hollywood sign? So this is, and these are all up on Instagram. So this is the Star Trek tours. And I'm trying to tell them that this is not the real Hollywood sign. This is like a week after the last one. She's showing you. That's the fake one for tourists. The real one's on the other side of the hill. So she says, do you guys recognize him? Like, no one recognizes me. So she says that's Ben Affleck. So the tour bus drivers have caught on that there's a crazy guy up in the hills pretending to be these actors. So she says, I'll play it back. You guys recognize him? And I say, no one recognizes me. That's my confidence. And then she goes, that's Ben Affleck. So it's kind of cool that this has sort of become a thing. Me. The disgust. No, it's not. That's right, Ben Affleck, everybody. How about them apples?
I know, that's so good.
Don't forget to tip your driver. They all just drive off. Like I would stay there for hours. They just drive off. They're like, okay, we can see the Hollywood sign from other places too.
Hey guys, Robert Downey Jr.
Okay, so now I'm Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey.
You can't handle the truth.
That's the wrong movie.
Do you recognize him?
So the driver goes, do you recognize him? Do you recognize him? I'll roll that back a second. Do you recognize? It's Robert Downey Jr.
It's Robert Downey Jr.
Recognize me. How insulting.
Robert Downey Jr., guys.
All the pictures in now.
All right, can I get my tour, please? Thank you.
And then the driver, no fun, this driver. Hollywood bus tours LA says, he gets on the speakers. Can I continue with my tour, please? Yeah, you can. Get the hell out of the neighborhood. This is the tour. I am the tour. Yeah, and I let him know I'm the tour.
Lines, Robert.
I let him know I'm the tour. I'm the tour. By the way, these buses are not supposed to be up in the hills. There's an ordinance against us, and they're not supposed to be on loudspeakers. They can wear headsets, and they can talk to them, but they're not supposed to stop. Sort of dangerous. Kind of bothers me, but at the same time, I like messing with them. So this Harlan Williams, comedian, very funny, on an episode of What's Wrong with Orny Adams, he's saying, do one of your lines, Robert. You can't handle the truth.
That's the wrong movie. You weren't in that movie. Wait, come back.
He drives off.
Iron Man.
I'm Iron
Robert
Man.
Downey Sr. He's older now.
It's like Jobis. It is insulting. It's absolutely insulting. Well, it climaxed once again. We ran into that female driver who said it's Ben Affleck, and then look at this one. This was great because, and these are all up on my Instagram. They're probably on Twitter. I mean, they should be everywhere. This should be covered by TMZ. Two semi-famous people harassing tour buses. So this is now, this is great. This is the best one. I actually get into an argument. Let me cue this up. With the Harlan says, it's so-and-so. Do one of your lines. And again, I go, you can't handle the truth. Somehow I'm stuck on this. It's the only thing I could think of. I'm so dumb. You think, I at this point, I know what's going to happen. You think I'd think of like lines I could say that would be different. And by the way, there are so many of these I'm not sharing with you. Again, check them out. So, just taking a sip. So on this one, we're talking to one bus, then another bus drives by, and Harlan goes, look, it's this guy. And they actually stop in the middle of the street. They start taking my picture. Then they realize it isn't that person, and they drive off. And then we challenge somebody on the bus to do the line with me. And I get right in the guy's face. He gets in my face. It's very dramatic. Enjoy this clip.
Are you guys famous?
Are you guys famous? First of all, it starts out with her. Remember, she was the one who said, are you Ben Affleck? So she's on to us, this one. And believe me, a lot of them will be on to us. This is a big deal. Two semi-famous people harassing tour buses up in the Hollywood Hills. So she mocks us. Are you guys famous? And Harlan has the thing rolling. He's ready to go. And in this video, I'd like to point out my back looks good. I look skinny. And so thank God, because if I didn't look good, guess what? I wouldn't post it.
Are you guys famous?
Christian Slater.
Christian Slater,
guys. Wow.
They applaud.
Do a line for them.
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Amazing now that we saw you.
I mean, this is a big deal for you guys
Do
to
a
see
movie
me.
line for them.
No, I
Christian.
don't want to do it right now.
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Christian Slater, guys.
There's the other
Christian
bus.
Slater.
Yeah.
Christian
Look at the bus
Slater.
stop. You can hear the bus squeaks to a stop. They go, hi. They all wave. They're all excited. I have it paused. There's one woman in this like reddish shirt. She's like, what? That's not Christian Slater. So the bus stops for all of like 2 seconds, and then it moves on.
Here.
Get the pictures
You
fast.
can't handle the truth.
Bus is gone.
They
Back
can't
to the
handle-
original tour. I've never liked the Starline tours.
Who wants to do You Can't Handle the Truth to Christian? Big guy, do it.
Come on, right there. Right left.
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
I can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
You want a bet? I'll bet a beer.
You want the truth?
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, shit.
I'm in the middle of the street yelling.
Christian Slater, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Chris, that was the wrong movie, Christian. You weren't in that movie.
You know, this COVID brain. I should have said stupid tourists don't know the difference. But it's a lot of fun, and I like when the tour buses play along with us. You got to watch that one because I'm in the middle of the street. And I'm yelling at this, and this guy's leaning out of the window. He's a big guy. He goes, you can't handle the truth. And then he bets me a beer. A lot of fun. Fun with tour buses. A lot of fun here. What's wrong with Orny Adams, right? Episode 35. It's really, we're having a good time here in episode 35. Why was Orny just stammering for a second? Well, he was looking for a song to play, to do a little talk over. We're hitting 1 hour. We're at the 1 hour point of the podcast. Might be time to wrap it up. Wasn't too hot in here today. Looks like camera B's still rolling. Camera A still rolling. Camera D, look at camera D. And that would be C. Is that still rolling? Yes, it is. Yes, 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 yes. Bum, 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 bum. Well, let's see. How do we bring this home? I'll say this. I had somebody over here to look at my trailer the other day, and, to try and fix the air conditioning unit that's over here that was installed and it's not working. And I said, hey, you want a beer? I got a fridge full of beer. Fridge full of beer. There must be 8 different varieties of beers, meaning different brands, some have wheat, some are summery, some have lime, some are manly, some are womanly, some are non-genderly. And I go, hey, how about this? I pull out, you want this kind? How about this kind? Do you want this kind? How about this one? This, I don't know. What else you got? You want this? I don't know. What else you got? How about this one's a dark one? No, what else you got? You want this one's from Bell? How about this one? How about that? It's 8 beers. Why is the decision in the movies? They go, you want a beer? And they slide a beer to the person, and the person drinks the beer. In the movies, you want a scotch? They go with their decanter, they pour a scotch. Person's like, what kind of scotch is that? How many years? Was it oak barrel aged? Was it prayed over by the monks? I'll tell you what kind of scotch it is. It's kind of scotch that came in a bottle, and now it's in a decanter. When do we get so picky about everything? And by the way, he listens to the podcast, so I'll give you a hint of who he is. So, he's it's my friend Kirk. Funny little friend. Yes, he does. He's got great big eyes. He ended up, by the way, I'm bringing this down. I play this music to keep me awake. That's what I do. That's his wife, Vicky. She was here the other day, too. And then he's helping me fix Big Yella. Big Yella. Hit it. I just think it's funny. It doesn't matter how many varieties of beer. And then Vicky came over, and now we almost had to go through it with wine. Thank God. The first bottle I pulled out was good enough. Because I go, oh no. The beer people, I think they could settle. They're going to settle faster. But it's like that with tequila, mezcal, vodka. It's like, in the old days, there was one and we were fine. We were fine. Let me tell you something. In the old days, there was one kind of vodka. And guess what? We weren't looking to go to Mars to live. But now, because there's 30 different vodkas and tequilas and mezcals and bourbons and scotch, everybody goes, screw this. I'm getting the F off this planet. I'm going to Mars where we can start out over again. And there's one. There's one kind. Man, I'm fired up. I am on fire. Well, have I said anything offensive in this podcast? I know I opened my last special more than loud. I said, have I offended anybody yet? That was my opening line. And I saw it coming. See, I see it coming. I see it coming. And it's like, you've got to be so guarded nowadays. People are so guarded about what they say. They're so guarded about offending people. They're so scared. Scared of being canceled. And guess what? It's making me fat. I'm gaining weight because of it. Because in the old days, people would say, hey, Orny, looks like you put on a few pounds. I go, oh, I guess I did. I didn't realize. Yeah, it hurt that they said it. But guess what? Kept me skinny. Now, because everyone's honest, I'm gaining weight. I want to go back to people telling me when I don't look good. Hey, when you look tired. Nobody says that anymore. I probably look like shit half the time. But they're afraid to even tell me. This is what's wrong. You can shame me. That's what I'm telling you. Go for it. The world's gone absolutely crazy. It really has. And it's a bummer because, this is so emblematic of our times. I was at the Improv, and I'll end on this story. We'll wrap it up, because what's going to happen now is I've got a meeting I've got to get to, and I've got to get this to Ernesto, and he'll, I call it polish. It's the wrong word every week. You think I should just write that on a card. He will master it. He will master it. Thank you, Ernesto, for mastering this. And then we'll get the audio up. And then what I will do is I will take all these cameras and I will put them on a hard drive right there. And that hard drive will go with me to Nashville, Tennessee. And by the way, I have meetings in Nashville. I've got some big doings going on. And I will bring that to Nashville. and I will edit it. So hopefully this edit will be up. I don't think I'll have time before I leave for Nashville. So this edit will probably be up, let's say Monday, for the people on Patreon. Patreon.com/Orny. If you want to watch the video on YouTube, up to episode like 27 is there. So you can sort of get a flavor for where what it looks like. Because visually, excuse me, visually, this podcast, there's a lot of elements that you're missing from the audio, but it doesn't matter. You can still listen. I mean, and love it. And please do. And pass it on to friends. And feel free to write reviews if you like it. And feel free to stay in contact with me at what's wrong at ornyadams.com is email. I'm starting to fade, so I gotta get out of here. But the good news is it wasn't too hot in here today. So I was at the Improv, and I did shows Friday, Saturday. I was at the Laugh Factory. I did shows. I'll be there next weekend, not this weekend, Nashville, next weekend, and that's Zany's information, ornyadams.com/tour. So there's too much selling going on, Orny. Shut up. I'll be at the following weekend. I'll be back in Los Angeles doing shows. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm at the Improv. Everything's going great. Everything's going good. Should I eat a little bit of some Tootsie to get my energy back up for this last story? Look at this. It's like a drug. Oh, the Tootsie canceling episode. That's where that came from. I'm really glad. I got to tell you a story about when I ate a milk dud on a Friday at 3 p.m. And I have a cap on it, too. I didn't even remember I had a cap on it, too. Never eat caramel candy on a Friday. Do you see this fly? Look at it. Flies are welcome. Just stay out of the shot. Come on. You'd think me trying to swat the fly would discourage it from staying in this area. I must want the Tootsie. So, I would say from a broadcasting standpoint, eating a Tootsie Roll in the middle of this podcast was a mistake. Taking much longer than I ever thought it would have.
That I have held firmly to the belief that there never is a need. Never for substitution. Because I never had this situation in my life.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
The yellow, gutless way they do things.
You tell them! You tell them! Houses! Everybody, good to the last drop. Maxwell, house. All right, so listen. Here's the all right, I got some sugar in me. I'm ready to bring it home. Here's the deal. I had a great show at the Improv on Saturday night. Actually, I didn't even think it was that great. It was okay. I don't know what's going on. It was the Improv. There was an energy, and I don't know if it's because of the Delta variant, but we're all a little bit discouraged. So what happened was, I'm at the Improv, and the show went okay. It was good. Okay, maybe it was a great show, but I'm tough on myself. And I was hanging out at the bar with my friend Jen. She's a comedian, and we're friends. We're like buddies. And buddies can joke around with each other. And she's very supportive of my comedy. In fact, she came just to watch me. And I love when comedians come in and watch me. My friend Jen Kober, she was on the show and she stayed to watch me. So a lot of Jens were sticking around to watch me. That's what I just realized. Anyway, this other Jen was sitting at the bar afterwards, like friends. I said, let me buy you a drink. We're having a drink. We're having a good time. And I said, what'd you think of the show? She said, oh, I thought it was unbelievable. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I don't think I really got him. She looked at me. She goes, you're insane. You know, like a friend would, joking around. I go, what do you mean? She goes, I go, what? It just didn't. I know when I get. She goes, you're insane. So I looked at her and I said, probably louder because I'm Orny Adams. I said, you're insane. At which point, a woman at the other end of the bar, we're talking 12 feet away, stood up and admonished me and said, you can't tell a woman she's insane. And I'm like, did you miss the 2 times she called me insane? You're insane for butting in. This is none of your business. This is what's wrong with the world. What's wrong with the world? I'll tell you, everybody's opinions don't need to be heard all the time. This is none of your business. This is 2 adults having a conversation. If you're any good at picking up on social cues, you'd see that we're joking around. And maybe she was joking around. Jen said she was flirting with me. Well, I don't like it. Don't flirt with me by telling me in these scary times that you can't say that to a woman. The woman said it to me 2 times. I mean, everybody, your opinions don't need to be heard all the time. And you're not getting all the facts. That's what's wrong with the world. What is that clip? I hit the wrong clip. Not the way I wanted to close the show, but...
What's his name, Kev? Orny, Adams.
What's wrong? I'm bringing it down. What's wrong with Orny Adams, episode 35. Thank you to Astro Julie and astronaut Jim Kelly for making that video at the beginning. What's wrong with the Val Kilmer documentary? What's wrong with people not minding their own business at comedy clubs? I mean, there's lots going on. But really, the highlight of this episode are these tour bus videos I'm doing. That segment went perfect. Thank you for the Peter Cass video, fun with CAPTCHA, fan emails. Keep in touch with me, what's wrong at OrnyAdams.com. Look at this fly. What a ham. Look at this fly. Wonder if that's planted by some sort of... What is that? I mean, this fly just really is hanging around. So I guess that's what's... There it is, right there. There is nothing. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. And remember, tomorrow, 7 a.m., morning yoga. I think my hair looked good in this one.